Damn, Slime Pack, you still at home? Afro, what's up? Nick, the Dick, what's up? So this morning, let me just hold up a minute, see if anybody else is in here. Seems like not a lot of people are on the road, judging by this truck stop at 1:53 in the PM out here in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania at the Loves. I was going to go down the street to the Pilot, but that Pilot's a little more rustic. So I don't deliver till 07:30 tomorrow morning, 14 miles away. So I'll be able to get that good sleep. Don't have to set an alarm or nothing. I got some good sleep last night too. They tried to send me on a crash test dummy mission, which I respectfully declined. So anyway, before I get into why this is probably going to be my last Thanksgiving, Christmas, I delivered my load yesterday. I have an entire pallet, 1,300 pounds of chicken breast left on my trailer. This is one of those ghost pallets, or sometimes they're ghost cases, where really, if it wasn't 1,300 pounds, I'm not sure I ought to said anything. But nobody would have known anything about this pallet that was left on my truck. So I call up, or I do my whole claim thing and all this kind of stuff. These guys would not let me. Essentially, they said this needs to be discarded. Perfectly good chicken, all this kind of stuff. Now, the person that was handling this in claims, I did a video a while back, or maybe a couple videos ago, where I mentioned one of my regrets was not checking this young ass kid at this shipper. I got kind of flashbacks to that, the way this lady was kind of talking to me. But anyway, couldn't donate it, couldn't give it to somebody, had to be discarded. Now, I wasn't exactly sure what this message meant when it got sent to me, because you know how sometimes messages don't translate over. So I called up, and that's kind of when that conversation happened that made me feel like somebody was acting like I was an idiot or something like that. So anyway, enough about that. I'm not going to dig deep into that topic. But so anyway, I'm up in Pine Grove, Pennsylvania when all this is going on. So I called up Blue Beacon, told them I had this pallet, told them how much it was, everything like that. Told them I was going to be there in about an hour. So this girl's like, yeah, we could do that. And and you're just going to give it away? And I was like, yeah. I was like, call all your friends, whoever. So I got up there about an hour later, and it seemed like every Blue Beacon employee that was off, plus some random people, came and took that stuff off the truck. So that was a good ending, because I'm gonna use a word that's like this new hippie shit right now, with people out here with all this food insecurity. It was really gonna hurt my heart to, first of all, if it would have been a case, I could give a case away to somebody, but it was 32 cases, 41 pounds each. Like, what am I going to do with that? So anyway, it was going to hurt my soul to actually get rid of this stuff. So I tried to make sure that when I went there, that somebody was going to take it, and it just wasn't going to go from my truck to a trash can. Your hairs, man, I'm telling you, when you start getting old, it starts looking like wool. I'm going to tell you, I'm about to be home to cut this shit off here pretty soon. So anyway, Leah, what's up? I'm going to just truncate some of these names. Mighty, what's up? Golden, what's up? We already went to Afro. I don't know what this last one is. I was talking about my hair looking like wool. They actually said that. I'm not religious, but didn't they say that that was what Jesus' hair looked like? Hair of wool or something like that? All right, so anyway, let's get into this stuff. Romaine, what's up? Where's 412 at? That's my man right there. What type of meat, man? It was chicken breast, or not chicken breast, it was chicken eyes. And I kept the reefer on, so it was all good to go when I got to, you know. Trucker Tammy just got done listening to one of your videos earlier this morning. You don't like taper fades. You know, when I'm on the road, that's the last thing I'm worried about. And I haven't really, I just cut my head bald and let it grow out. Now, I usually don't let it grow out this far. But the last time I went to a barber was in 1996. And I got there as soon as it opened. And I didn't leave there for like 4 hours later. I was almost late for work and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I went and bought some clippers and started handling it from there. And it never seemed to, it never seemed to matter as far as, you know, well, it just didn't seem to matter. So, and the last thing I'm worried about is some dudes worrying about what I'm looking like. You got some bad weather coming towards PA? Hey, if it's bad weather, I don't mind shutting it down and chilling. Yep, I'm still in the closet. Haven't came out yet. Andrea, I thought you were at work. Must just got off. What's up? How you doing? Love you. Juliet Costa, what's up? All right. When Trucker Todd told 412 that he looks more like a lumper than a trucker, he had me crying. Listen, for him to be telling anybody anything, like he needs to focus on himself. You know what I'm saying? Focus inward. Did you invite George Floyd to Thanksgiving dinner? Man, I'm really not all about Thanksgiving, to be honest with you. My wife's saying, get home. Yeah, I am. I'm going to try to get home between the 9th and the 12th. Nick the Dick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was funny. All right, so I'm going to stop there and talk about this little thing about... Well, first of all, let's talk about this load they tried to send me yesterday. This was crazy. So I'm sitting in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, because I had to go to the Blue Beacon and get everything, give away that chicken and do all that. So I get a pre-plan. Now, the first thing I did was look at the 90 just to see what's up. So the 90 is in Monrovia, Maryland. So I hurried up and Googled that real quick. I'm like 85 miles away from there. I didn't even look at the 01 yet. Then I looked at the 01, and it was like picking up in Woodburn, Indiana, 510 miles away, driving empty into the storm. So I just said, so they sent me a message in my Google with the pre-plan. I said, I don't mind the deadhead, but that's deadheading right into bad weather, empty. I'll pass on this load. So then, you know, he didn't put up any resistance. He just said, you know what, I'll let sales know. And I was kind of tired too. So I was like, you know what, you can also tell them to make me their last priority. I need to take a nap. So that's kind of how that went. And then I got a load that I picked up today. Picking up in Sellens Grove, Pennsylvania, going to Harmony, Pennsylvania, which is where I'm dropping off tomorrow, 14 miles away. And I was like, you know what, that's perfect. I'm right below the snow line too. I'm like skirting along the snow line. Great weather the whole way here. And you know, so that's the deal. So anyway, as far as this Thanksgiving and Christmas shit, so I get up this morning because I know the load's going to be ready. At this particular National Beef in Selins Grove, Pennsylvania, if the load, normally, if you're not picking up on Sunday, that load's usually not going to be ready till the back end of the delivery window, which would have been midnight tonight. But since it's Sunday, I knew the load was going to be already ready on Saturday. So call, confirm in the morning, load's ready, cool. I had to do a live dispatch on this because they're calling this a high value load. It's like 13,000 pounds of some bullshit. Ground beef patties. Yeah, ground beef. So anyway, it's not a real high value load. It's just make sure you don't stop nowhere crazy and do all this kind of stuff. So anyway, I do everything I need to do, and then I got 64 miles to drive to get to my shipper. First thing I do, have to call and do a live dispatch. Nobody answered the phone in 64 miles. So if it was 64 miles, it was probably about an hour and 25, hour and 30 minutes. No answer. So I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. I'm here. Drop my trailer, pick up my trailer, do all that, drive to the guard shack, do my depart thing. Actually, I have to pull out because there's only one way in, one way out. So I pull out to the exit. I have enough time to put in all my information, scan my documents, and then I call again. So nobody picked up that phone for an hour or for 120 miles. So close to 2 hours. Finally, somebody answered the phone. Well, somebody did answer the phone. I was like, gave my truck number, you know, and they were like, well, what do you need? And I was like, well, I'm calling to do a live load call. And then no nothing. All I hear is the phone getting transferred. Then it rang a few times, then it hung up. So this is like 200 or 120 miles of this shit. I finally get to a truck stop where I'm going to get some reefer fuel. It just needed a little bit because I wasn't sure I was going to stop at this Love's. So I was like, you know what? It's continuous. I was thinking I might stop at the receiver like an idiot. Why would I have done that if I'm 14 miles away? So I couldn't get the reefer fuel with the correct reefer number because I wasn't attached to it because nobody answered the thing. So I had to put in my old trailer number. And so anyway, here's the point is all these people in-house are taking all this time off and they're talking about wanting capacity from drivers and all this stuff. And I'm just sitting here like, you know what? Here I am taking me. I never did get the live dispatch call because when I called in to do the live load call, they're like, your live dispatch hasn't been cleared yet. And I was like, well, that's going to require one of you guys to answer the phone and clear that for me. So I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? All these guys are taking time off. They're leaving a skeleton crew to make life harder on us to do some of the micromanagement that we have to go through out here. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. Now, I'm not that in a perfect world. I'm going to be home on Christmas and Thanksgiving. But going forward, even if I'm on the road, well, I'm going to try to be home every Christmas now. But if I'm on the road for Thanksgiving, I'm just going to say, you know what? Don't make me available for 3-4 days or whatever it is. I'm just going to chill because I'm not going through this. I'm not going through what I went through today so people could chill, but then them talk about we need capacity. That's not going to happen. Let me get to these comments real quick. Shit, let me look at it on here. It's easier. Somebody's been talking about you in the chat 412. Might want to scroll up a little bit. All right. Storms coming next couple days in the Northeast. I'm not going any further north, and I might go a little further north, maybe. I'm definitely not going any further east. I think if I need a washout tomorrow, I'm gonna get that in Hubbard, Ohio, and I'm not like coming back out this way unless it's an easy place I already know about. Afro hates it when they send you into bad weather so you can get stuck there and fuck your pay to stay longer on the road. There was no way I was even considering driving into that snowstorm because it wasn't done yet. I already had people telling me about it all day. So I was like, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. Plus, I looked up the weather and stuff. So Corey Miller, that storm is a monster. Snowed all day yesterday here in Minnesota, man. I'm telling you, I know a prime truck flipped because when my fleet manager comes on in the middle of the night to send out a message, that's serious. So I'm assuming that was on my fleet. All right, Christopher just drove out of Michigan empty last night to Seymour. Never doing that again. I'm telling you, I'm not fucking with these people no more. All right. Rico, what's up? When I have to wait, I just message the information. The problem with messaging the information is I left that place and I was out. I wouldn't wait. First of all, at that place, and I'm sure you've been there, the Ceilings Grove National Beef, there's really nowhere to sit and do all that stuff. Why they don't give you the paperwork when you're on your way in, I don't know. But I didn't have all that time. I just got on the road, and it was going to be what it was going to be. (412), somebody was saying something about Trucker Todd clowning on you in a video. I didn't see that video, apparently. They said you look more like a lumper than a truck driver. That's what Trucker Todd said, apparently. Big H Trucking is headed to Utah. You know, I wasn't going to mind going out to Utah and all that kind of stuff just to get me kind of acclimated to the snow. So I wasn't going to actually hate that kind of a load. My wife says, all right, happy I'm going to be home. I can't wait to get home. Corey Miller, heck yeah, go home for Christmas. I was going to go home for Christmas anyway. All right, 412, what's up? All right, Ohio's going to get dumped on all the plains and Northeast. See, my problem with going to Indiana the other day wasn't the snow, because what is this motherfucker driving here so fast for? It wasn't the snow. It was going there empty. Like, if I already have a load on me and I say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it to the 90 on time, that's one thing. I look at being able to make it to a shipper a little bit different. So, but I wasn't going to go there empty anyway. You know, I was looking at all the pictures of the roads and everything, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to be me. Let's see. 412, I'm out here in your neck of the woods, kinda. I'm at the Loves in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. I'm about 14 miles away from my delivery in Harmony, Pennsylvania. I think that's maybe in your neck of the woods a little bit. All right, Mighty, getting ready to get a flight back to Georgia. I'm in training with another company, and they still sending them to Massachusetts. Listen, there's nothing wrong with going to some of these places. You just got to be smart enough. Well, it doesn't even matter. Sometimes, no matter how smart you are, just because they say, just shut down, sometimes you can't shut down when you want to, which is why I think some of these people need to get out on the road. All these safety people that act like you want some parking to magically appear, they need to get out on the road just for a little bit. All the logs people that know everything about logs, but not the practical application. They need to get on out here. Get on out on the road. All these claims people that act like it's all easy to just get rid of 1,300 pounds of shit. Get on out here. See what it really takes. All the fleet managers that haven't driven, that don't understand why you want to pre-plan because you need somewhere to go. Come on out here. So yeah, we need to get some cross training up here. Hey, I will be more than happy to go sit with all these people throughout the course of their day no pay if they want to come out and get paid. As a matter of fact, I'll even pay for them to come out on my truck during that period of time, just so they can know what's going on. All right, 412 Trucker Todd. Oh man, let me find that shit. I have no clue. I've been home since last Friday and probably gonna be home another week or so. Yeah, if Trucker Todd's going in on you, that's fertile ground to crack on right there. Tammy's all right. She's sitting in Mount Airy. They got that nice sheets up in Mount Airy. All right, drove into Lake Effect snow yesterday, and it's only November. Man, I'm telling you, Big H, they said this winter wasn't going to be no joke. All right, 412 saying that this Love's I'm at is a decent Love's, just whatever. Don't use that shop for anything. Where am I delivering? I can put some secret Pittsburgh parking. Oh, I'm delivering in Harmony, Pennsylvania, so I'm 14 miles away. Now, technically, I probably won't need a washout since this is all boxed up beef, and there's only 13,000 pounds of this stuff, so it's all at the front of the trailer, so I could probably handle that on my own, but if not, I'll just go to Hubbard, Ohio, and get a washout up there. All right, Harvey Rabbit. Take them and direct them and show them exactly where you're losing all this money. I was wondering if you've ever, or if you've been out here at good old Paris, California. I have been in Paris, California. It's been a long time, though. All right, Teddy Waters, what's up? Does the wind speed have to... Okay, what does the wind have to be for you to say not driving with wind today? Wind doesn't really bother me all that much. I mean, it would have to be a lot of wind, but I don't know. It's more of a feeling than it is a wind speed, because I don't really personally track wind speed all that much. I can tell you this, though. The closest I've came to actually worrying about wind was I dropped off a load in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I was going on home time, and the wind was so strong, it got my trailer tires off the ground. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna pull up, because it had been strong the whole time, but then this gust came and got my wheels up off the ground. So then I just pulled over on a off ramp, dropped my trailer, and pulled forward a little bit so it didn't pull me and the truck over if it was pulling anything over. So, but yeah, wind isn't really one of those things that I really get concerned about. I mean, I know it can happen because, you know, one of my friends been at Prime for over 15 years. He got blown over by wind, and they basically terminated his contract after 15 years. And then he did get paid out $80,000 on the truck. He had paid off his truck the same time I paid off my first truck. So he paid off his truck, rolled it, and then got an $80,000 check. So that was not a bad trade-off right there. All right. Pileups on 70. You know, I didn't really look that far down on this. Yeah, bobtailing in any inclement weather is not that good. So anyway, that's that. Probably done with the Thanksgivings and the Christmases and all that stuff. Just out of, because listen, a lot of the time I was doing it just out of loyalty to my fleet manager and all that kind of stuff. And now it's just like, okay, I'm just, I put my dues in and all that. And just out of principle alone, I'm going to do it. Because that pissed me off. First of all, I don't know if the lady was like short with me yesterday or whatever, because it was like she was probably working from home and trying to do some other shit or what that was about. But this waiting around for that long, that really made me think about why it was taking so long. And then I realized it was all these people taking off this 4-day weekend while we're out here doing this. So I'm just like, you know what, there's no, unless they come up with a bonus so big that it's ridiculous, which I doubt. I mean, they still haven't made their money's worth off of that little raffle machine they got a few years ago, so they're gonna be using that for at least another few years. And I don't play the lottery. I never really did, but then when my best friend said, I forgot it. We were talking about loans and mortgages and money and shit like that and taxes. And when he said, I think I might have said something about somebody, I forgot. I might have been saying that somebody or people or something didn't have to pay that many taxes because their income was so low. And he said, a lot of people pay the poverty tax. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, the lottery. So that's always stuck in my head. I mean, I have every now and then got a lottery ticket. And when I do it, I'm like, man, that's the first thing goes to my head. Man, I'm out here feeling broke and shit. So anyway, Harvey Rabbit for me, it's mostly snow and heavy rain in the mountains. Yeah, that's bad. Rain doesn't really bother me that much. And man, I use my windshield wipers so infrequently. I probably go 2 years, maybe 2.5 years without getting windshield wipers on my truck. Because I use my little Rain X on there, and usually that works good enough. I mean, I still got to look through some stuff, but still don't have to use them all that much. Rain doesn't really bother me unless it's super heavy in bad areas, like they get no drainage from the highway. Forgot what highway I was on. Oh, I was on a state route in Kansas. No drainage on the highway whatsoever. If there was like a little slope, you were hitting that water and potentially hydroplaning. So that was a little iffy right there. All right, Tammy saying, what's up to my wife? She might be actually driving by now, but I'm not sure. 2080, hello Lyle, what's up? 412, I'm always worried about wet conditions, about roads that look dry, but you can't tell where there's ice, even days later. Wyoming is perfect for that. Sun comes out, melts that shit off during the day, even when it's kind of warm during the day. And then as soon as the sun goes down, you get that little thin layer of ice out there. Yep, definitely worry about that. All right, 412, man, it's a shame Prime stopped going live on YouTube. Them raffles were a trip to watch. Them raffles, man. I know them raffles were pissing off people. I don't remember if it was last year. I think it was the year before last year. But everybody that won that raffle had like a name that was like going to be offensive to some of these people that work at Prime. Hey, 412, what comment section are you talking about? I tell you what, 412, I saw you and Tammy in the video, in the comment section on that video about the guy that was losing air pressure in his truck and decided to have road assist come out and change his or do, fix his tire or whatever, 4 miles away from the truck stop. Man, I'd have rode that shit on the rim all the way before I do that shit. But yeah, I saw you and Tammy in the comments section on that video. That video is hilarious. I mean, my man was out there. Listen, kudos to anybody that finds the time to get in all that exercising on the road. But for you to be broke down on the side of the road and the first thought that comes to your mind is, let me pull out a weight bench and some dumbbells and all this shit and go work out on the sidewalk without a triangle in sight and be there for hours. Yeah, I'm just telling you, I thought that was a little funny. All right, speaking of lottery, just think of all the people who won big buying lottery tickets and then would have never won if they didn't buy one. I'm talking people who won millions. Listen, I know people I've done loans for people that have won lotteries. Not huge numbers, but a couple million, maybe one over 5 million. And still, it's not enough of a motivation for me to do it. What I won't do, or what I will do, is back when before I got into trucking, I worked in the office, and when lotteries got to a certain amount, people at the office all went in on a lottery pool. Now, I was forced to buy into that lottery pool because you don't want to be the dumb idiot that's left there working after everybody else in the office wins the lottery. That's what you don't want. So I had to get in on those. But personally, no, I can't do it. I mean, I'm sure I might have just got one on a whim somewhere. But how much does Prime charge for them super singles? Man, I just got, I don't even remember. I think they're about 800 or something like that, if I remember right. Listen, I just pay the bills. It's a bill I got to pay, so I have them do it, and I don't worry about it. Now, if you ever hear me start knowing what the price of everything costs, that's when you know the money's not coming in correctly. So if you ever hear me, like, talk about how much something costs, that's when you're going to be like, okay, Lyle's, as the younger generation says, Lyle's out here capping about some money. Yeah, 412. I don't know if he got a whole new tire or if they just fixed his flat. I mean, the road call's got to be at least $600. Maybe I don't know. Man, hey, what video was this, Mr. Mayhem, about the guy that was at his appointment and he was high on PCP and had his dead wife in the truck? Oh, I think I did see that. I think it was a news. Okay, yeah, I think I saw that. That's crazy. Trucker trashed Tammy. I bet he paid more because they knew he was dumb. Man, my question was this. If I got a flat tire, why would I be worried about if it's safe for me to get out of the truck or not? Listen, everybody has their struggles they got to go through. I mean, I'm assuming he does well as a truck driver. Just maybe hasn't gone through as many emergencies. Well, I guess I can't say that because he went through the I-70 emergency. I don't know. Everybody's a little bit different, man. Everybody's tolerance to stress is a little bit different. And I'm not talking about freaking out, but I'm just talking about being able to chill out and be cool. Like both the situations he was in, those aren't even situations to actually call. Those are things you handle on the app. So I would have never even called in on that shit. If I wasn't going to drive 4 miles with 50 PSI in my truck, But I got an air hose back here, so I'd air it up real quick and run out to the truck stop. You know what I mean? All right. (412) been doing this 7 years. Knock on wood. I don't use road calls. Now I've had to call a tow before. But definitely ain't calling road assist. The cop showed up. He was trying to avoid them. He's talking about the PCP guy. His wife was dead for days inside the cab. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Man, I'm telling you. 412 had a bunch of shit go wrong with this truck. No way he was going to pay $400 plus for a $25 boot. I hear you. All right, Ricochet, I think that's Ricochet Vic, whatever, something like that. Seeing you posted your emergency fund for them haters that think money can't be made at Prime. I posted that because somebody said I was lying. So there's one thing I hate is to be called a liar, because it takes all this credibility away. So it wasn't the fact that it was $32,000 or whatever. It was just the fact that I was trying to, because I'm thinking if this guy thinks I'm a liar, there's some other people. And I never said an amount. I don't think I did. But that's why I did that. And there's people making more money than me or other people at Prime. My thing is this: I'm never gonna make the most money ever. You know what I mean? Somebody just said, "Oh, Roadrunner Naya's making $12,000, or she made $12,000." Listen, that is great. I never said I was gonna make the most money out here above everybody. And as a matter of fact, one thing I can say is I've made more money than I thought I would have ever made driving trucks. So that's enough for me. It's doing what I need to do. I don't need to make more than anybody else. And even if I could make money somewhere else, what's the trade-off as far as stress going to be? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the reasons I'm at Prime isn't the money. It's the low stress level more than anything. So I know a few places where I could go right now and make more money, but is that going to increase my stress level? And I've said something that somebody told me a long time ago, and I remember where I was at. I can't remember what the conversation revolves around, but I was working at Key Bank at the time, and I was talking to one of my clients, and he said, a lot of people out here are chasing after money, and no matter how fast you run, you can't run that fast. And this was a guy with a lot of money too. And I don't really remember what the context was about that. I just remember that getting stuck in my head. And one thing I can say, in one of my previous videos, like within the last week, I said, this hasn't been a great run for me. Like, I've made less than average money this last month I've been out. And the one thing I have to say about it is I haven't had any stressful runs. I mildly went up into the Northeast a little bit. I forgot where that was at, like Connecticut or something. I forget where it was at. It was an easy run in Connecticut. I've already been there before. I knew it. But that was about the most stressful it's been. I haven't, to me, that's a lot. So if I can make the money I need to make, even if it's less than normal, but it's low stress, I'm all about that. I'll take that way over making 30% more money fucking around the Northeast or going to these crappy receivers and shippers, So that's kind of where I'm at on this. 412 had a guy bring him a starter because his starter decided to die in the fuel island. I tell you where you don't want your truck to die is in the damn Blue Beacon washout. Those guys charge like $178 an hour or something like that if you block up their washout. I saw a guy that was getting charged that in New Jersey on I-95 up like in the Northeast. Forgot the name of that truck stop, Bordentown or something like that. And his truck just died in the washout. And I was inside talking to the people, and I was like, man, I said, it's taking a long time to get through here. They're like, yeah, this guy's truck just decided to die in the washout. And I was like, man, that's got to be costing you guys some money. He said, well, it's costing him whatever it was. I think it was $178 an hour. So it was more than that. It was more than $178 an hour. It might have been a every 15 minutes. It was something crazy. Trucker Tammy Trash talking about old boy bringing out his dumbbells. 412 blocked up the fuel island but didn't pay for the repair. Sitting in a fuel island for 9 hours. It's not that common sense isn't common. Common sense is fucking gone. Yeah. Oh, and back to those of you guys who watched my other video, I just rode and I knew I was heavy. I was like 35 on my rear and like 32 and a half or something on my front. And I was wondering why this load was riding so heavy. That extra pallet on my truck is what I wasn't over gross, but I was wondering why my gauges weren't making sense. Like if I'm at 35 on the front or on the back and my front is here and I look at the bills and my bills say this amount, it wasn't making sense to me. That extra $1,300 on that, or extra 1,300 pounds on that pallet is what was kind of throwing me off on that load. And I was 35,000 on the rear. Nothing I could do about it. I was like in the 16th hole or something like that. I mean, I guess I could have gone all the way to the back, but I still had to make some turns. So maybe I could have got down to 14 or 34.5 or something. I don't know. All right. Somebody is saying, I am not an honest man. Well, you know, I guess that would depend on what the context is. All right, 412, 12K gross is damn good weeks, specifically at Landstars. A lot of guys at Landstar and Mercer are lucky to see 5K gross, especially running drive-in. I think she's on that concert stuff. I'm not 100% sure. I don't watch her videos, so I don't actually know. Scotty saying, hopes I have a stress-free holiday. It'll be a lot more stress-free when I get home with a bottle of that bourbon. Or, you know, I'm sure my stepson probably going to buy me some bourbon. All right. Depending on how the market is, can go home every Friday and gross 55 to 7,300. I've had a few 9K weeks. I've had a bunch of 48 to 52 weeks, specifically this last 6 or 7 months. Man, I could do that in Colorado, or I'm not talking about those numbers. I'm talking about as far as being home. Man, I just don't want to fuck around with the Rocky Mountains, doing regional runs and stuff like that. Bandit 579. Lyle got more money in his E-fund than some have in their completion bonus. 579 has a kid on the way. I got to remember to send him a little. See, I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to get something for the baby or get something for you. Like maybe I get you some bourbon or something like that, just so you can make it through them stressful ass days with that baby crying all over the place. I haven't made up my mind on that yet. $412 saw a video about a guy who got the bill from Blue Beacon holding him up. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, that had to be some money. Landstar gets 35%, then they take her payment out of the accessorials. They call it here, her insurance is more. She's doing no better. Yeah, I don't know anything about what she's doing over there. All right, 412, you gotta be careful getting your engine washed. A lot of guys run that pressure washer right up to your firewall there because it can fuck up your electronics. Yeah. We have to split the flatbed tandems all the way to the back on a 53 and still take the corners. I think them tandems are further back if you take them all the way to the back on a drive van than a flatbed. But I don't know. That's a long, I mean, I know what you're talking about, but it just, I don't know. Either way, I wasn't going to be under 35 or under 34,000 pounds. So I might as well leave a little bit of turning room, especially, where was I coming out of? I don't think I had to worry about it once I got on the highway. (412) when I go home, man, I am going home till it's probably gonna be between the 9th. I may stay out a little bit longer. Depending on what the weather's looking like. But no matter what happens, I'm gonna be home for minimum 24 days. So if I get home on the 15th, 24 days past that, same if I get home on the 9th, whatever it is. All right, the meaning of my title, for those of you guys that just came in here. And all right, let me talk about the chicken first. What happened to the chicken? So I called up Blue Beacon in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I'm like 65 miles away from there, and I say, hey, I got this pallet of chicken, you know, can you guys handle it for me and all this kind of stuff? And, you know, she's like, well, let me see, you know. And so anyway, she asked me if the chicken was good. I was like, yeah, I still got my reefer on and all that stuff. I was like, man, I'm just giving it. I mean, I'd hate to see it get thrown away. If you could call, like, any friends or employees up here to pull this shit off my truck and take it home, I'd really appreciate that. So I went up there. When I got up to the Blue Beacon, man, there was like cars waiting for my ass. And they had that trailer cleared in like 5 minutes. Shit, lumpers weren't as fast as it took them to get all them boxes off of my truck. So anyway, I would say that some Blue Beacon employees and friends got that chicken. Now, as far as the title goes, if you're talking about the title about not working, or probably my last Thanksgiving and Christmas working out here, is just the fact that they're putting us out here talking about they need all this capacity, people to, you know, stay out and satisfy our customers' freight demands and all that shit. But then they don't have any of the people that are here to help us with it. Nobody around to handle live load calls. I stayed on the phone, literally. Those of you guys just came in. I left this morning to go pick up my load, 64 miles to get to my pickup. I called in 64 minutes. Somebody answered the phone and then just transferred me to somewhere else, and then I got hung up on. Called them back. Long story short, wasn't able to do my live dispatch call in 64 miles. So let's say that might have been an hour and 15 minutes. Then when I got loaded, I was going to have to make a live depart call, right? Anybody's been to this Sealands Grove or whatever, National Beef, there's really nowhere to sit and hang around and do all this stuff, or even as Big H Trucking said, type out the information and say, here's what it is. You don't have that much time. And plus, I'm only going 278 miles, right? So I got on the road. They're going to answer within 20 minutes. No. It took 120 miles between me getting hung up on again. Basically, to make a long story short, 120 miles for somebody to answer the phone. It took so long that so I got this bet. If anybody sees me with my headset on outside of my truck, it's $100. I stopped to get fuel, looked around the parking lot, didn't see no Prime trucks, up Lamar, Pennsylvania. I had to get some fuel for the trailer, at least I wanted to. I couldn't even use my correct trailer number to get fuel, and I stayed with my headset on the whole time. Went inside to the TA to get some stuff, headset on the whole time because I was waiting for these people to answer. Nobody answered. It took that long for these guys to answer. So I'm like, well, fuck it. If I'm not going to have the support staff, it's like sending in infantry without cooks and motor transport and, you know, all these other people that are basically there to support the troops. That's how I felt out here. And I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to do it again. Even to the degree that I'm not even going to, if I'm out here over Thanksgiving next year or whatever, I will tell dispatchers, like, before that happens, make my PTA, like, if Thanksgiving's on Thursday, make my PTA. If I drop a load on Wednesday, don't make me available till Monday. That's how pissed off I was about this shit. I don't know how old this comment is. Big H trucking, I've been out a month. Damn, I'm way behind. All right, I'm going to scroll backwards for a minute. Typical back office, kicking the can down the road, absolutely. Do you run mostly reefer? I run essentially only reefer. Some dry loads in this reefer, though. Just as long as you ain't coming out right after Christmas. I plan on coming out around if I get home on the 9th, I'll probably leave out on the 4th of January. If I get home on the 15th, I'll probably be out like on the 11th or something. You know, it's going to work like that. So anyway, that's kind of what the title meant. And I mean that shit. Once I say some shit like that, it's like it's ingrained. Now, there could be something popping up that would make me do it. I highly doubt it. It would have to be something so ridiculous that I can't see it happening. All right. That boy, Prime sent out flatbed message offering multiple bonuses for TNT trainers. I don't think I'm going to become a trainer. Apparently, a lot of trainers stop in the winter with flatbed. I just talked to one of my boys. I don't know if he's in here or not. He's going to he's picking up a trainee here pretty soon. I could not train anybody in wintertime. Even when I was just a trainee on my trainer's truck, I didn't feel comfortable with anybody but me driving. At the minute, I just can't do it. And there's no way I could have a brand new driver out there. Yeah, I couldn't do it. Like, I could not train in winter. I know my limitations, and that's one right there. All right. 412 is talking about some bonuses they could give, pay their own students, and toss you an extra $1,000 a week for having to train them. Personally, I've never really had a problem with the way trainers get paid at Prime. Personally. Just because, man, I had made so much money. Like, some of that money is just ridiculous. So I never really worried about that. Now, like I said, I don't know what flatbed is like in the winter and all that, but yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of things they could do better as far as the training goes, but I've never had an issue with the way they've actually paid that out. All right, so Trucker Trash Tammy didn't get that message about the flatbeds. A lot of it, I think, is fleet manager specific. Like, my fleet manager, one thing I give him credit for is a lot of the tomfoolery. I had to use that word today. A lot of that shit that I see a lot of other fleet managers send out. My fleet manager really doesn't send out a bunch of that stuff that other fleet managers send out. Very rarely is he going to send out a, like, I even gone in there and I'm like, man, people send me some of the messages their fleet managers send, and I appreciate you not doing that shit. So anyway, if Slime Pack is still in here, man, North Carolina's putting the belt to ass on the Rams last quarter. I don't know. Is Slime Pack that much of a football fan? I drove through 10 Sleep, Wyoming on Wednesday, and there is no way I could trust a student to drive. I got my truck in winter last year. It was built by the cold rookie battle in the snow over 70 in Colorado. There is no way I'm going through 70 in Colorado in the wintertime. Absolutely, that's a no-go. I live in Colorado, and I just know how that could be up there. I've been watching pile-ups and bad weather and all that shit up there since I was a kid. Definitely not doing it. Okay, they're making drivers deadhead to Illinois from over 800 miles. From where to Illinois? I'm not deadhead. Listen, one of my regrets last year was doing some dumb shit. Or one was last year and one was like the year before last year. I'm not deadheading in no empty and no badass weather like I did in Wyoming like a couple years ago. Not happening. I don't care what the reason is. And I'm not bobtailing in bad weather either, which is dumb shit I did last year from St. Louis to Kansas City. If everybody wants to talk about safety, listen, everybody wants to talk about safety, right? I know two fleets that two companies that shut their drivers down in bad weather. Smith Transportation and Schneider. But then when a driver, see, here's kind of what, I don't know. I don't even want to say that. What I will say is sometimes you got to save drivers from themselves. So if you know the weather's bad, then you just shut the fleet down. It takes all the stress off the driver because you have some drivers that don't know no better. You got some drivers that, might be ego driven or whatever the situation is. Just shut it down. If you're in this area, shut it down. All right. JJR is chilling at home in Cali, gonna be running California runs till winter's over. Shit, I got in some of the worst snow in California. What are you talking about? I got in that grapevine one time. They had the chain laws up. I stopped. I think I was at like a 76 or something. And before that, I was going north. So I think there's a 76. It was right before that or something that I stopped at. And then I had to come back over and I stopped at that big ass Petro. It snowed out there for like a week straight. This is maybe like 3 years ago, or at least in that area. And the chain laws are going up, going down, going up, going down. So yeah, that's one thing. Listen, all the stuff we could be talking about in the driver advisory board, maybe that's something I would bring up. You know what? I'm not even going to talk about that because now, never mind. I'm not even going to go into those topics. Elton's barbecue pit. Man, now that Elton's in here, I don't remember what country this was from, but it was one of those like Slavic countries, well, maybe not Slavic. Uh, yeah, definitely not Slavic. But let's talk about. It was either like Sweden or Norway or somewhere up there. Their trucks have like these anti-jackknife things on it, where the trailer can't. I don't know what trips it to do it, but I saw a video about it, and it's supposed to like decrease trucks jackknifing and stuff like that. We need some of that out here. Anyway, Elton is from my barbecue days. He's out there doing barbecue out. He's representing out there because nobody where he lives is doing that kind of barbecue. At least I never saw that many of them. All right, I was in North Carolina. They claimed they needed trucks down here bad. Did same BS. When I was in Denver, deadhead to Utah last week. Don't do it. Listen. Do not bobtail or deadhead from Denver to Utah ever. At least in the winter. I could maybe see it in the summer, but that is a crash test dummy mission right there, because you never know what weather is going to be in Wyoming. It could look like it's clear, and I'm looking at all the places I could pick up loads at. From Denver, you got Lincoln, Nebraska. You got Schuyler, Nebraska. You got Omaha, Nebraska. You got Liberal, Kansas. You got Dodge City. You got, what's that place in Oklahoma where Seaboard Foods is down there? Anyway, you got too many places to be deadheading in bad weather, or even if it's not in winter. Even summer wind kicks up out there. I wouldn't do it. All right, 3752. What's up? Everybody stay safe. The weather is ridiculous. I happen to be in this little pocket of good weather. I'm like just below the snow line and everything. When I was, looking at the map, it looked like I-80 I was riding just like right along that line where it was like rain and snow. I saw a prime trucker earlier that the cab was knocked sideways from a jackknife down in Iowa off Highway 2. I can imagine. And here's another thing is some of these loads that they give you. Listen, I'm pro GPS. I am absolutely pro GPS. What I'm not pro, because I've learned from mistakes, is just plugging in your shit and then just going. Some of these routes that these GPSs, and I'm mainly talking about the Prime GPS, is going to send you down all these state highways to save you like 10, 12 miles of driving and stuff, where you could have, for example, stayed on 80 to 81 and done about 20 miles. It wants to send you through the middle of the national forest in Pennsylvania. I don't know much about Highway 2 in Iowa. As a matter of fact, I think I was just there. That's regardless. A lot of drivers out here, new drivers, aren't going to know any better, and they're going to be picking up these loads in like Washington, Wyoming, where there's like a shorter route cutting through these state routes. And a lot of them state routes, if you get caught in the snow on it, you just getting caught in the snow. There's nobody there to save you on that until it's done. And luckily, I learned my lesson in the summertime in Washington and Wyoming, my first year, where I was like, man, I should have taken this longer route. Good thing it wasn't snowing. All right, North Carolina's real hard market. Man, I just got a good load out of Monroe, North Carolina. Reefer's got some good loads in North Carolina. Now, they all happen to be chicken loads or shit. I, if there's one thing I would like to not do is these damn chicken and beef and pork loads. Ugh. Trucker Tammy Trash. If it was a red truck, North Dakota Highway Patrol had it on Facebook. Yeah, they're out there worse than damn bonehead truckers posting shit up there. All right. All right. Yeah, I was looking for a load down south yesterday. This is about as good as I could get. I don't think I have to worry about the snow. When I deliver this load tomorrow, I'll take another look at it because I do not mind sitting a day or two. As a matter of fact, my fleet manager doesn't do this, but there was a load I just didn't like one time. And I forget what it was. It was going to the Northeast or something like that. Like somewhere I definitely don't like, Rhode Island, or I forget. It was somewhere up there. And I just said, you know what, I'd like to respectfully decline this load, whatever. And he said, well, freight's bad this weekend, you might have to wait until Monday or something like that. I was like, you know what, as a matter of fact, why don't we change my PTA to like Tuesday at 08 in the morning so I can really relax. Well, hold on a second. We might be able to find some. Don't, let's not get crazy. Because that the first thing they do when they say there's no freight is I extend my time out past what they were thinking. No freight, good. Let me relax now. Make my PTA such and such time, just so they know. All right, we got prime trucks jackknifing all over the place. Delivering in Arkansas, hauling to Oklahoma before ice tomorrow. Oklahoma, Arkansas, two horrible states when it comes to icy roads. I'm in North Carolina too. Had five prime flatbeds here at the truck stop. This truck stop is actually pretty full for the time of day where I'm at. What time is it? 3 o'clock, and it's like they got a lot of parking up here. On this other half of the truck stop. I wouldn't imagine this many people would be parked up here. Yeah, those state routes and states you don't know, never do it. Man, Pennsylvania got me on a state route a while back, and I was because I'm looking at my GPS, and I said, I forgot why I wanted to get where I wanted to get by a certain time. But I was like, there's no way I could do it if I take this other longer route. So I could maybe have a chance if I take this state route. Man, that was the worst. Man, I was actually mad making that drive. I was like cussing myself out for taking that route. I was pissed. Not only was it bad weather, but it was like I'm dodging deer. I only want to drive like 45 miles an hour because there's deer all along the road. I forgot where I was going from, somewhere in New York, going somewhere in Pennsylvania. I was pissed about that. Never make that mistake again. I will always go long routes in Pennsylvania. Maryland, another one. Upstate New York, another one. At least you're in Mount Airy. Got some options. Mount Airy, they got that nice sheets up there. I like that sheets in Mount Airy. Are you going home for Christmas, Lyle? Absolutely, Elton. I'm going to be at home before Christmas. I'm going to be home probably mid-December to mid-November. Or January, excuse me. Taking at least 24 days off minimum. Tammy's at the Pilot in Mount Airy on 77. They got that Sheets right across the highway. I'd have been up there. But they ain't got no showers or anything like that. Hey, Tammy, make friends. Got somebody else out there at that Pilot you're at. Wouldn't have seen me. I'd have been over at the Sheets. Apparently, they just remodeled that Sheets according to 412. All right, yeah, Tammy wanted the shower. That Sheets is like a Love's. Sheets is a Sheets. You can walk into almost any Sheets blindfold and know exactly what you're going to get. Except it's going to have better shit. It's not going to have showers. It's going to have better shit. And wide-ass parking spots. Like, Love's already has good-sized parking spots at the ones that are laid out with the horseshoe design. But Sheets, man, them spots are so big, I think I'm straddling a spot when I'm backing in. Like, sometimes I look like a rookie backing into a Sheets because I'm like, all right, I'm too far over here, but then I like get centered again, and I'm like, this is one spot. So yeah. All right, Trucker Trash Tammy's asking if whoever has a black truck. All right, it's 7 p.m. where Elton's at. What GPS do you use? I don't know how some of you guys use these big-ass GPSs. I got the small-ass GPS. I have the bigger one. I got, like, the Ram McNally, like, bigger one. The problem was it's a tablet, and it seemed like it was trying to do too much shit. Like, it was trying to be a tablet and a GPS and all this shit, and it was, like, bogging down and shutting down and freezing up and everything. So I was like, you know what? I don't even know where that's at now. I need to find that. Just to use it as a tablet. But, I got the small-ass Garmin. I don't know what they call this. It's like the smallest Garmin they got. It's just a GPS. You don't get, I guess you could set it up for road conditions if you have the Wi-Fi. I don't have any of that. Regular-ass, cheap GPS. I update it. You got to get on a computer to update it. I update it like every 5 or 6 months. All right, 412's talking about his truck's a blue mid-roof T680 with stacks. That boy got a green truck. I got 4-inch black tarp, or 4 foot on. Guess that'll be 4 foot. Picked up grout in Wyoming. Google Maps is good. Google Maps isn't good for trucks. If you use the Google Map in a truck, Elton, you are going to hit a bridge and you're going to tear up the... You don't want to use Google Maps for trucking. I don't know what it's like out there, but it's got to be worse where you live. I'm sure they have smaller streets and lower bridges where you live. You do not want Google Maps out here. Oh, I also use this other app. Here, let me show you. It's called Truck Map. I forgot who put me on this, but it's like if you go to like your Google Map, or not Google Map, Google Play Store, Apple, whatever, where you get your app set, it looks like it's white with like a highway sign, and instead of having like highway or 80 or something like that, it just says TM. That thing will usually lead you right to the gate wherever you're going. So I'm paranoid. I got my Garmin programmed in. I got my Peterbilt map plugged in. I got my Geotab, Copilot address in. And then I'll have my, depending on where I'm going, I'll have my truck. I'll have like all these things going, because it just takes being in the wrong place one time to make you paranoid about some shit. All right. Revenue is low on these WM roads or runs. I don't know if you're talking about what's WM. Hopefully it's not Walmart because I made a killing on one of those a little while back. Luckily I stacked up from April. Just got to wait until weather to ease up and back. Western Regional. A412. I went to that pilot in Mount Airy before people knew it was there. I would be there like 4 in the afternoon, and I'd be at 9 o'clock or whatever. Sometimes, you just get up because I'll look around and see what truck stops have parking at certain times. So I'm looking at the Flying J, I think it was, right across the street, full. I'm like looking around, and there's like 6 of us in this at that Sheets at that time. I know it's probably got busier since then. Now that people know it's there, but this was before they actually even had the Sheets sign on the highway when I first went there. $37.52. That Prime GPS absolutely had me behind a receiver in a foot of snow deep, 1-lane road or ice road trucker shit. I use Garmin and Trucker Path. Screw that Prime GPS. That Prime GPS, I did a video where I got screwed up one time. As actually my last video about my regrets. I went to that Seaboard Foods in St. Joseph, Missouri. The GPS said I had arrived at the place, and I'm like 5 blocks away. Actually not 5 like blocks going towards it away, but 5 blocks like I was gonna have to get on a different road and go 5 blocks down that road. It didn't instill confidence in me that time. All right, anyway, man, I'm about to get off here. I need to when you get old, man, you got to start taking advantage of some of this time off. Yeah, Elton's barbecue pit works for ambulance. So basically, paramedic in Norway. So that seems like it's bad weather all winter long. It might have been Norway where I saw that video about the stuff that's supposed to keep trucks from jackknifing in winter weather. Anyway, I'm not gonna be able to get through answer all these comments. Let me scroll through. You can ask AI Google what the best trucker route is, and they'll let you know. Man, I might have to run a test on that one. I'm not sure I'd do that though. I'd be too paranoid. I mean, as long as I have the other GPSs going on, I don't see why not. Walmart, man, I just made a ton of money on a Walmart load. I forget where I picked it up. As a matter of fact, let me take a look. It was a short run, too. Oh, I did 2 of them. Stillwell, Arkansas to Stillwell, Oklahoma to Clarksville, Arkansas. $756 for 300 miles. That wasn't horrible. Edgerton, Kansas to Walmart in Pauls Valley, Oklahoma. Not horrible, not great. I mean, again, easy places. I know what I'm going to get. 350 miles, $12.82. Actually, the first one was only, I don't count empty miles because the shipper has nothing to do with my empty miles. The first load was 91 miles. So most of my miles were deadhead miles. I can't fault the shipper because of that. Do I recommend Trucker Path for driving the Northeast? I know somebody that lives by Trucker Pass, so I can't personally say that, but I know somebody that loves it. All right, JJR uses Google Maps for live traffic. I can see that. Well, my man Elton that brought up the Google Maps, he's not a truck driver and he lives in Norway, so um, Ram McNally with the built-in cam on the back is cool. I had that GPS. Like I said, that shit was just freezing up all the time. Yeah. Anyway, I'm about to get off. One thing I need to do to these comments, because people have left comments and I haven't had a chance to get to them. I was relaxing so hard last night. Woke up with that slobber that was like hanging off. So, yeah. I need to see if I can get to these comments and relax. It's 3:14 p.m. So I got, let's say 3:14, or let's say 3 to 3 in the morning. That's 12 hours. 4, 5, 6. I got 15 hours to chill out here, get some more good sleep. But anyway, I'm about to get off here, but I do appreciate you guys stopping by. No Hippie Trucking Transportation helped me pass a little bit of time. Stay safe out there. I'm out.